Is this TV adaptation of Stephen King's Sometimes They Come Back as good as the short story? I don't know.
Let's find out. Yeah!
Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome to episode 34 here on my random horror review series. I'm your host Mood616, and thank you once again for stopping in, guys. Yeah, episode 34 is here, and I've got another one here from All of Films. Yes, brand new Blu-ray release. And this is a film right here that I remember reading the short story, of course, from the Stephen King anthology novel Night Shift way back in the day. I will admit I haven't read the short story in years, like pretty much all the stories from that book I haven't touched in years. But I remember this adaptation being very similar to the story, but I could be wrong. I can't quite remember. Of course, the film in question here is from 1991. It's a TV film, and it is called Sometimes They Come Back. This right here was directed by Tom McLaughlin, of course, from Friday the 13th Part 6 fame. One of my favorite, Friday the 13th sequels. He also did One Dark Night, I believe, which was his debut film. It's a really cheesy, campy film that takes place in kind of like a mausoleum. Oddly enough, I'm wearing a shirt. But yeah, Tom McLaughlin didn't really do a whole lot of horror films. You know, he did this one. I think he may have done an episode of Masters of Horror, and that was really about it for, he did a whole pile of other genre type films and stuff. But yeah. Get into the plot of this one. Basically centers around your main character, Jim Norman. He has just accepted a job back in his hometown that he grew up in as a high school teacher. Now he left his hometown, right after the murder of his older brother, when he was around 10 years old or stuff. So he's been gone for years and years. He'd moved to Chicago, but now he's back in his hometown, his little hometown, because he's, accepted a job as a teacher. So he moves his wife and his son to the small town. And soon after arriving in the small town, he starts having these like crazy weird visions, night sweats and night terrors, and just he's having a really rough time. And, stuff like that. He can't really figure out, exactly. Well, I mean, he knows what's triggering these memories and stuff like that is because, he's having kind of like guilt, a little bit of guilt over his brother's death and stuff like that. So what had happened is his brother was getting bullied and he got killed. And what had happened was as soon as his brother got killed, the thugs, the assailants actually ended up getting killed in a really bizarre type accident also at the same time. So now he's teaching his class, and some of the students start winding up getting killed. And what is happening is the assailants that had killed his brother start picking off students in his class, and that kind of brings them back into reality. And now they're there basically to finish up and get revenge against Jim, and kind of settle the score because they blame him for their deaths and stuff like that. So that's the premise of the film. Now my thoughts on this one. Like I said right off the bat, this is a TV film, and it's actually one of the better TV films out there because when you're watching it, you'd be surprised. You might have to look it up and you'd notice, oh, it's a TV film. It doesn't quite necessarily have that TV, kind of feel to it. It doesn't really feel like a TV film that much, but it does feel like a Stephen King film, to be honest, also, which is kind of cool. So with that said, it does have a little bit higher production values. A lot of TV films, they tend to have lower production values and stuff because they're made for TV. They don't have those big budgets. This one right here is surprising on all levels. The acting in the film, of course, is okay. I think the acting in the film is pretty average, to be honest, all around. There is some pretty good performances. I think some of the best performances actually are of, the thugs, the guys that come back from the dead and stuff. I think those are some of the best performances. But overall, the acting in the film isn't really the greatest. Tim Matheson, plays the lead in this film as a teacher, and he's okay. He's not bad. He kind of comes off as a pretty average actor in this film for some reason. But I do like the setting of the film. It does feel like a small town. It's kind of eerie. There's some really good cinematography in the film also, which is quite surprising. There's a really cool scene where, the thugs, they pull up on this bridge with one of the classmates and stuff, and it's just a really, really well shot scene, really good atmosphere, really good fog, just a really good nighttime scene and stuff. And there's a really cool scene in the graveyard among scenes, so there is some really good really well shot scenes in this film. And the effects in this film are actually surprisingly well done too. There's not really a lot of gore effects and stuff, but there's some really good makeup effects on, the assailants and stuff like that. which I think are really surprising, to be honest. You know, even for a TV film in 1991, it's surprising to see some of that stuff. I'm not sure if that was actually in the original TV broadcast or whatever. I'm assuming maybe it was. I don't know. But it does look good. It actually does look pretty good. You know, for the whole film, you know, it's a pretty decent story. I like the story. There is minor plot holes in this film that, you know, at times it kind of gets you thinking. You go, okay, why is this happening? Why is that? They try to explain some of it towards the end, but there is still minor plot holes that do kind of affect the whole story and things like that, but it's not really, you know, that drastic. And I think the thing that really kind of hurts this film for me is the ending. I think this movie goes on way too long. It's almost about 100 minutes, which is really surprising for a TV film in itself, but it does drag a little bit at the end. It kind of just keeps going and going and going. And the very end of the film, the last like 5 minutes, I find it's just overly cheesy. I wish they had just kind of wrapped it up and just moved forward, you know, progressed with the film, you know, with the ending a little faster than it did. So the whole ending of the film is kind of tedious and it's a little cheesy to watch at times. But, you know, overall the film is a good watch. I mean, I can't really take anything away from it. It's enjoyable. I like the story. I like the whole idea of, you know, these guys coming back from the grave. Every time they pick off a student, one of them is, you know, comes back into the real world, you know, basically kind of takes that seat in his classroom because they're killing off his students. I really enjoy that. I think that's a really good premise. And like I said, some of the effects are really good, well shot film. So, you know, it has its pros and cons. You know, it's not a mind-blowing film though, again, but it's not terrible either. This is the type of film that, you know, for a TV film, definitely one of the better ones, I have to say. The music's really good in this film also. I kind of like the music, and I really do like the look of the thugs, because the story takes place 27 years earlier, like the beginning story with the brother and stuff, and they kind of look like 50s greasers and shit like that. So I kind of like that. The car is fucking batshit awesome in this film too. So, but yeah, not really a whole lot more to say. You know, there's not really a lot of twists and turns in this one. It's a pretty straightforward film that's, you know, entertaining enough to watch. So if I had to rate this one, I'm going to give this one a solid 6.5 out of 10. Like I said, it's not anything overly amazing. It's not terrible. You know, it's definitely above average, but it's a fun watch. So. And yeah, I believe that sometimes they come back again. It doesn't even have a Region 1 release, which is really odd, I think. And then sometimes they come back for more. It's this one actually spawned a couple sequels, which I don't remember the third one. I own the third one. I can't even remember it at all. But I will say I definitely like this movie a lot more watching it this time around, because I have to say the Blu-ray transfer on this is pretty good. It's very, very good looking. You know, shot for TV, so I was actually at first expecting this to be in full screen for some weird reason, but it's not. It's actually in widescreen, so, and it looks good. The print that they used, really awesome stuff. So, again, all the films, no features, so nothing to report on the features and stuff, but yeah, sometimes they come back. You know, I'm rambling. Check it out. It's a good film if you've never seen it. I think most people have probably seen the film before, but, you know, it's another really decent Stephen King adaptation. And it's just not like one of his best ones, but it's fun. So, anyways, guys, check you next time. Peace out, homies.
Is it another great adaptation from Night Shift?
Is it another great...